Growing up, my whole extended family had this nickname for me, Little Ragutini. Everyone used it. My mom, my dad, my cousins, even my grandparents. I thought it sounded adorable, like some cute Italian endearment passed down through generations. Since my mom's side is Italian, I just assumed it was some traditional family thing. I never questioned it. My dad would grin, ruffle my hair and say, "There's my special little Ragutini." I ate it up. In 5th grade, we had to do a cultural heritage project, and I proudly wrote an entire page about how my family called me Ragutini because it was a treasured Italian nickname. My teacher even asked me to explain it to the class. I stood there preaching about this supposed term of affection while my dad was seated in the back during parent night trying not to explode with laughter. I later found out he excused himself to use the bathroom, but really hid in the hallway because he was laughing so hard he was crying. On my 16th birthday, my grandma gave me a handmade necklace with Ragutini engraved on it. I wore it constantly. People would ask what it meant, and I'd proudly explain the whole invented heritage thing. Some of my high school friends even started calling me Rags as a nickname for the nickname. By 14, of course, I was in peak teenage angst mode and dramatically annoyed by everything my family did. Whenever they used the nickname, I'd sigh and roll my eyes saying, "I have an actual name. You know." They would just laugh and say, "Once a Ragutini, always a Ragutini." My dad and uncles would exchange these mischievous looks I chalked up to them being weird adults. In college, when my roommates met my family, the nickname came out instantly. For the rest of undergrad, several of my closest friends also called me Ragutini, thinking it was some charming cultural thing. When my cousin Luca visited campus and heard them use it casually, he nearly spit out his coffee. I thought he just wasn't used to being around my friends now. I know he was dying inside. I even dated a guy who thought the nickname was adorable and started calling me my little Ragutini. When he said it at a family dinner, my dad had to excuse himself from the table, shoulders shaking from trying not to laugh. I assumed he was just being protective. Nope. He was laughing at this poor, clueless guy. Fast forward to last month. I'm 25, at my cousin Bella's wedding. I haven't lived at home for years, but every holiday visit still comes with a chorus of Ragutini. At this point, I'd embraced it again. Nostalgia is powerful, apparently. At the reception, after a couple glasses of champagne, my uncle Marco hugged me and said, "There she is, our little Ragutini." I joked, "Guess I'll never escape that name." Instead of the usual chuckle, he burst out laughing with tears in his eyes. He waved my dad and Uncle Sam over, saying, "She still doesn't know what it actually means." They were already wheezing. I stood there, confused and slightly irritated, the only one outside the joke. My dad, definitely tipsy, put his arm around me and said, "All right, kiddo, maybe it's time you heard the truth." My cousin overheard and nearly doubled over. My dad started with, "You know how your mom craved ragu pasta when she was pregnant with you?" I nodded. It's a well-known family story. She would wake him at 1 a.m. demanding ragu, and he'd make it. "Well," he continued, "she ate so much of it that she had legendary gas." Uncle Marco jumped in. "Apocalyptic gas. Gas that could clear the neighborhood." My face started heating up. "So, when you were born," my dad said, barely holding a straight face, "you had the worst baby gas we'd ever smelled, just like your mother." It was impressive. The nurses commented on it. My uncles were now crying with laughter. "And since you smelled like the ragu your mom had been eating non-stop," my dad said, "I started calling you my little Ragutini." That's when 25 years of memories suddenly rearranged themselves in my mind while I stood there holding my champagne glass in stunned silence.